so appreciate all the well wishes that I've received from people. You don't quite know how many people are in your corner and how many people are praying for you and cheering you on until something like this happens. So it's been a big encouragement to not just for me, but for my whole family to hear from so many people. And so grateful for the medical staff. You know, it was a great comfort in Lambeau to have Dr. Coetzee right there, a foot and ankle specialist who could evaluate it right in the moment. It took him about a half a second to realize for him to tell me I tore my Achilles because of how skilled he is. And it's just great peace of mind to just have him do the surgery right here. He did a phenomenal job. I mean, it's literally right across the street. So made it as easy as it could possibly be. And then it's, just been good getting in the training room and starting this process. You know, Brian O'Neill went through this a year ago, so kind of leaning on him a little bit to learn about the process. And then, it's been fun watching our football team win and play at a really high level and kind of continue this run. So, Kevin's done a phenomenal job. I think everybody's appreciated how hard it is for what Josh has done. But I think the guys inside the building know even more how hard it is because we know all there is to do at that quarterback position and all the coaches have to do when there's change there. So it says a lot about Kevin, about our staff, about Josh, and what they've done. And then, just excited to kind of see where the season goes, even though I'm a bystander. I think it's still a lot of excitement up ahead, a lot to play for. And, standing here at 0-3, 1-4, we just said we got to keep playing one game at a time, and now here we are, with so much to play for. So that's the way this league is and will always be. And can take any questions you have.
Is there anything, with the injury, I don't even know where all the technology is, but do you get a forecast or projection of how long it will take, how good it will feel when, all that stuff?
Yeah, they definitely give you a general idea. I think people are concerned to give you too concrete of an idea because then you'll start pushing it when you don't need to be. And so people have been a little hesitant to make it a clear, by January 1st you need to be doing this because it's different for everybody. But it seems to be a procedure and a injury that the recovery time seems to be shortening and shortening. It used to be a 12-month deal and it was a 9-month deal, and then Cam Akers goes, I was back in 5 months. So you understand that it's heading in the right direction as far as an injury that you can really come back from and be really strong afterwards.
The speed bridge deal?
So, not to get too medical on you, I've learned a lot about the Achilles tendon in the last few weeks. So, where the tear is located in the tendon determines whether or not you do the speed bridge. And they don't want to do the speed bridge if they don't have to. My MRI was unclear, so when they went in, I didn't know going under what I'd have. And I woke up, I said, did I get the speed bridge? And they said, no, there was enough tendon below the tear that we would just able to suture the tendon, which would be preferred. But if the tear is low enough or we don't have enough tendon to suture it, we have to do the speed bridge and anchor it to the bone. So didn't do the speed bridge, but one of the advantages of the speed bridge when they anchor it to the bone, it's that much more stable. So then early on you can kind of push it in the rehab. But long term, they were saying it's probably preferred to not have to do it. So I was actually pleased when they said, we didn't have to do it because I'm not in a hurry, being that I have until really, OTA's training camp. I got a lot of time.
Was there a grieving process for you after the injury, and what was that like?
Yeah, I was Googling the 5 stages of grief. I think maybe even that night, trying to understand that better. And I don't think it's stages. I think you just all 5 just swirl all at once for the last couple weeks. But had a great meeting with Dr. Mack, talking through that, and he had a great line last night. He texted me. He said, "When you face adversity like this, you'll look back down the road, and many times you're better because of it, not in spite of it." And I thought that was a good point, that it's not something you look back and you say, in spite of that, I did this or was a part of this. It's more of a because that happened, it made me better and enabled me to go to where I want to go. So that's kind of the way I want to look at it. And, you kind of have to check back in 5 years and say, what happened. Until then, you're just on the journey.
You've learned a lot about the Achilles. Like, what was the process of that learning right whenever you were ready to jump into it?
Yeah, talking with Dr. Coetzee, talking with Brian O'Neill, Cam Akers, talking with our training room staff, who Matt DeMel rehabbed Brian all last offseason, so they're pretty much fresh off of doing it, and so I feel like I'm in really good hands, and they know exactly each day what I need to be doing, and I just got to do it and plug away. So patience is a big deal, and understanding it is a long process and I don't need to push it, but at the same time, movement's good for it, and just trying to find that balance of movement and asking it to move, but also not pushing it.
You had previously commented about the growth that Brian felt during his recovery process.
Yeah, it is a very challenging journey. Brian would say it's kind of like the stock market where you're always getting better, but there's going to be days you feel you had a setback and then days where you feel like you took a big jump. And so you don't try to get caught up in any one day. You try to just have this general trend over the next few months heading in the right direction. And, and I understand that as far as hearing it, but now I've got to go live it, and that's a different level of understanding.
You mentioned those 5 stages. Like, are you able to live in acceptance yet? Or are there days where you're still mad, or do you have to pour all your energy into recovery and not go down that path?
I'm still mad. I'm still disappointed, but then you go right back to all the things I can't change it. Got to move forward. That's what we signed up for when we stepped between the white lines, and I'm fortunate to have come this far and not had a surgery in football. So you're also very grateful too, and I just believe that the rest of there's more to the story up ahead is what I really believe to the core of my being, and I don't know what that'll be, but as I was being carted off, looking back at the field, I thought, you have a lot of thoughts go through your head, and one of them was, is this the last time I play football? And now a couple weeks removed, I say no, it's not gonna be. But when those thoughts are going through your head, you realize the potential routes that this could go, and so I'm excited to kind of write the next chapter and see what God wants to do with it, whatever it may be, and just kind of been reminded again that I've kind of got my career. It's not my career, it's kind of His career that I steward, and I just got to surrender myself and let Him lead where He wants to go. And when that's a torn Achilles, I have to accept it just as much as if it's a win on Monday Night Football. It goes both ways, and I'm just a steward in what He gives me. And when He gives me a torn Achilles, I got to steward that.
What does it mean to maintain a role here and having Kevin give you opportunity to contribute and things like that?
It's a great question. I have never gone through this, so I was really confused as to how do I most strategically use my time. And so just through trial and error, I kind of feel like my time is best used coming to the quarterback meetings and kind of having that hour and a half with the quarterbacks to see the game plan, learn it, offer the occasional thought if I have one, but mostly just be a part of that, and then head to the training room, and pretty much while they're in their other meetings or going to their lift, I'm just doing my rehab, and then still get to see the guys and everything, and then when they head out to practice is when I head home and kind of continue my rehab back at home with Chad. So still staying pretty busy, but the football part is a little obviously reduced, and the treatment part is ramped up.
You mentioned when you were on the cart, thinking about that, a lot of people have commented on kind of like those moments, when you first injured, you look like you tried to run. And, and then you didn't wait, you just hopped off the field, and then you were cheering the team on. And I think Cam Bynum and a few other people, thought of Kobe Bryant in those situations. and not to make it too dramatic or heroic, but what were you thinking in those moments? Were you in denial?
I was in denial. I was mic'd up for the game, so I was able to watch back how I came across, and it was hilarious because I hop off, and they're like, here, put your weight on me. And I was like, I don't want to put my weight on me, I just want to hop. So I hopped to the sideline, and then I said, I don't think I tore it. I just can't press my foot down, and I feel like I've got nothing when I'm basically saying everything that would suggest you tore it. And I'm going, I don't think I tore it. So I don't know if I call it denial or cluelessness, but Dr. Coetzee, I was just giving him day one install, you tore your Achilles. And then we went into the blue tent, and I put my foot up, pulled my sock off. He basically went like that for a half a second and goes, yeah, you tore it. So he goes, take a second, we'll bring the card up. And I just kind of laid back on the table and took a deep breath and just kind of, okay. But I also wanted to win the game. I wanted to leave Lambeau with a win, so that's a special place to leave with a win. So as we were kind of carting off, I was looking at the guys like, you better come back in that locker room with a win, So and they did.
Did it hurt then? Were you in pain?
No pain. They said it's a unique injury and that there really wasn't any pain. Monday, Tuesday, had no pain, and then after surgery, Brian was telling me horror stories, so I was pretty nervous about the pain afterwards. But really no pain afterwards either. Slept well. But again, that's the difference between the regular suture and the speed bridge. So been pretty good, walking around, able to put weight on it carefully. And, I've been saying one day at a time a lot, and I think I'm going to be saying it for a while.
This is not a one day at a time thing, but how much have you allowed what happened to influence your thoughts about the next few months and what your future holds?
Yeah, certainly your mind goes there, and that's coming. But similar to what we said in April or August, March will happen in March, February will happen in February. Those conversations will happen, but it's just not time yet. And we've got so much to focus on here with this season. The guys are playing so well, and that's really where the attention needs to be, and that's where my attention will be. And then, we'll cross that bridge when we get to that bridge.
Kirk, you went from the Netflix phenom to a bad start to the season to a big comeback to an injury to a free agent. Could you describe, or is it too early to summarize if you were to write an article about what you've learned just in the last 4 months?
Yeah, I've always said NFL stands for not for long, and I don't look past this week, and we don't look forward, we don't look back, we just kind of stay present, and you learn why right now in this last few months. And I've just never played this sport thinking I've got it figured out or thinking that I, know what's happening next. I have played this sport, though, feeling like I don't own this career, and I just got to steward it. And that's always helped me because it is chaotic and stuff. Curveballs do get thrown at you. And so when you hold it really tightly and this is mine and I got, that's when you can get yourself in trouble. And so I'm learning to play this sport, holding my hands open and saying, God, whatever you want to do, if that means a torn Achilles, I've got to accept that. And I'd like to tell you I'm a mature enough person to accept it with no problem, but I've had my fist up a little bit the last couple of weeks, in my prayer times with God, but I'm working through that. And again, I think ultimately I'll look back and say, God allowed that to happen, and it was I am where I am someday because of, not in spite of.
When it first happened, was there a step that you kind of knew something is off?
I sprained my ankle so many times that when I did it, I thought, another sprained ankle, in a couple tough weeks of rehab, but we'll play through it. And I got up, Garrett helped me get up, and I went to press into the ground, and I thought the ground fell down because I felt no ground. I thought, okay, that's a problem. And I was like, I started walking. I thought maybe it's like a nerve where the nerve isn't firing, so I don't feel my foot, which again, I was like, that's all right, we'll work through that. I can play without feeling my foot. And then I was like, I can't even walk. So then I started hopping. And then again, I was still in denial on the bench talking to Dr. Coetzee, and it wasn't too difficult for him to understand what happened.
What do you think about Rodgers' attempt to come back, or sort of proclamation?
Yes. I think he can do it. I think he can do it. I think with how aggressively he's rehabbing, with his diligence, the timeline, the advancement in the surgical techniques and the rehab modalities, I think he can do it. And, he's not a left tackle having to anchor on a bull rush. He's a quarterback, and I think that also really helps, the ability to come back and play. And he was kind enough to, about a day before my surgery, talk to me on the phone. We were able to kind of discuss, what's key in this process. And we're a little different that I don't need to rush it. If anything, it's important that I slow down and don't push it. But, it also helps to have a guy 2 months ahead of you who seems to be doing a lot of things right, and I can just kind of follow his roadmap. So Chad Cook's been able to talk to his people and really kind of get a bit of a roadmap, if you will, for how to handle the next few months. But we have a great roadmap here with our training staff too.
What was it about Dr. Coetzee and this facility right here that you chose to have the surgery here?
Yeah, I was going to do my due diligence, as always, and look around and just kind of gather information. But as we looked at it, the logistics were impossible to beat. And then Dr. Coetzee, as I talked to people, was really well respected across the country as a foot and ankle surgeon and doing this procedure. And Brian had a very positive experience with him. And so it was kind of a no-brainer. And the night before the surgery, when I made the decision to go ahead with Coetzee, Dr. Larson, our team orthopedic surgeon, called and just said, "You made the right choice." And I said, "Well, I appreciate you saying that because it kind of gives me peace then going to sleep tonight." He said, "You made the right choice." And when I woke up and the way you described the surgery and everything, and now a couple weeks out, I do believe we made the right choice, and that's very comforting. And he also said I have a great Achilles tendon. He said it was thick and strong, and I said, well, it snapped on me, but he said it looked pretty good in surgery, so I got that going for me.
Kirk, how much are you hoping that this isn't the last time that you've taken a snap as a Viking?
Very much so, in the sense that when I was in Washington, I always said I want to be a one-team quarterback in my career. That'd be pretty special to be able to do that. It's very tough to do. And then when it didn't work out in Washington and came here, I thought not only do I want to be just a two-team quarterback, but I'd like the run in Washington to go so well that I'm remembered as basically a one-team quarterback, that I played for the Minnesota Vikings. So certainly that desire hasn't changed. That's still the same. And there's a lot that's out of my control in that. And so, yeah, you can want a lot of things. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I keep an open mind, but certainly would love for that to be the case.
This injury has made it more or less likely. I mean, people can analyze it either way.
Yeah, it's hard to say until we get to March. So many things can change, and so I think you really just focus on this football season, the guys right now, what they're going through, what we're trying to go do, and then cross that bridge when we get there.
Kirk, medical staff, doctors aside, who's been your biggest help in just day to day?
My wife, Nurse Julie. She's been awesome. Big help. But certainly there's been a lot of other people. Again, just the compassion, the care, the professionalism from our medical staff, from Dr. Kotsia, from teammates and friends and support here in the community. It was farther reaching, far more than I ever knew it was out there. So great comfort and a lot of people walking this journey with us.
What was it like watching football games
of
your team?
It's a tough deal. It's a tough deal to sit there on Sunday and watch. I know I need to watch and want to watch, but you get to the end of Sunday night and the last game's played and you're like, I don't know, it hits you that you weren't out there and you're watching other quarterbacks play and that's tough. But so many players go through it. It's part of the deal. I'm no different. And you believe that there are better days ahead and opportunities up ahead, and you play the long game.
Has Kevin asked you to do anything with the team, take a leadership role, just quasi-coach?
Well, once I can be a little more mobile, I'll probably try to be out around the team more on the practice field when I can be on my feet a little more easily. But, he said basically, text me thoughts you have on the game plan, the D coordinator, the third down plan, whatever you have. So he's basically just said, send me whatever you got. And occasionally I have a thought, but at the same time I kind of let them do their thing and let Josh do his thing, but just make myself available. And, when an occasional thought comes up in the quarterback meeting, share it. But they're doing such a great job. And I think it's a testament to Josh. It's also a testament to the whole operation, the coaches, the teammates. Everybody's just really stepped up and played at a high level these last several weeks. And it's been fun to watch and just kind of even at a distance observe it. Just you're proud of the way the guys are playing. All righty, thank you. Yep.